um, showing some of the data that like we just took that Chris just showed from one of my last listings that I had where I was going up against Berkshire. Um, and showing a one step versus a two step listing presentation. Now, I know like John really pushes for the one step presentation. He used to, run all the comps ahead of time and have all of his listing paperwork, take a lockbox with him, have all the seller net sheets printed out, and he'd go and he's looking to get that all signed right there, right then. I've done it before that way, but it can be very tough doing it that way if the house hasn't been listed or sold and you have no clue what it looks like inside. It could have been sold 20, 25 years ago. You have no clue what the inside looks like. You've never met the sellers before. Maybe you talked to them on the phone, got a little bit information on it, but you're kind of going into it blind. It is very hard to do a one-step listing presentation on those. I've done it one time on one of those, and it was on a split entry in Penn Hills where I was able to find 10 of the exact comp of, hey, this is an updated split entry to the worst split entry. I could kind of figure out in the middle where it was. Cookie cutter houses are much easier to do that where you can find a bunch of them. But if you get a unique house, and the last listed presentation I went on was a very unique house, and I'm like, I have no clue what this is going to look like. It's so unique. There's not really any comps to go off from. Yeah, I need to do a two-step presentation. Two-step, you're going in. I like using the 12-minute listing presentation and talking about how you're going to market the property. You could show them a little bit of the data on our list to sales price ratio. I showed to them then because I knew I was competing against Berkshire Hathaway um, and the 5% calculator. Showed them just all the marketing and what we'll do. I just took pictures of the house and I tell them, hey, this is just for me. I'm not using this for marketing, just so I can reference when I go back and look at the comps. And then I come back a second time with the comps and the rest of my full listing presentation. So what do you open discussion? What do you guys usually do for yours as far as one step versus two steps?
I'm definitely two step. I don't like pressuring, and I
Yeah.
want to be able to see the property, talk to them, feel them out with everything, and that's just the clients I like to work with too. Is I hate pushing anybody, and I feel like if I do a good enough job, they're gonna want to work with me and want me to come back.
Sure. Sure. And I agree. Most of the time, like I like to have it just in case the listing paperwork, but I'm not pulling it out unless they're like, yeah, we're ready to sign right now. Like when can we start working with you? So just in case I like to have it, but I'm more the same. I try to do the two-step if possible. Um, but a lot of times if I already know the people and I know I'm going to get the listing, and then I'll run, when I've been in through the house, I'll usually do those one step and go over and check it out, and then DocuSign the stuff over to them that way. Um, just so it's case by case scenario, but I'm more of a two-step guy as well.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I mean, at that same time, you should be prepared in case they do want to see all the paperwork and they do
Yep.
want to sign. You should have everything there and be prepared. If you can walk through the house and give them a price, that's not a bad thing either.
Right.
Um,
And for sure. And remember, everyone, like now, like you could have done this before, but even so more now with the new changes and using the XLS form, they don't have to have the property ready to list to sign the paperwork. You can sign the paperwork then, have a listing contract, have it off market, and then 3 months, a month later, when they're ready to, then change it to, hey, they're going to put it on the MLS, have an initial next to, or just do a change of listing contract and then get it on. So then you can help them out, and if you want need to get contractors over there or help them out, like whatever, you can be representing them through that time as they're getting it ready. So let me share my screen and go in to the Moxie presentations. All right. So Is there one you guys want to start with, the 1-step or the 2-step?
Can I see the 1-step, because I've never
Sure.
1-step.
Sure. So this would be my one-step one. This is what I did a house on. What I do. So let's go back in Moxie Present. When you go and you do let me just show you that real quick. Let me go to it so you all know. And I'll just point to the ones what I do. So you'll create new, seller, continue. You got to click on brokerage templates and go to Coldwell Banker Parent Company templates. Once you create your own and you save a template after you have it exactly the way you want to, this is what I highly recommend, so you're not doing the same thing over and over. You can save a template at the end. I'll show you where that is. And you can see I have a bunch of different saved templates in here that I use. Whoops, let me go back. Seller, Coldwell Banker Parent Company. So what I usually do is I use the default seller CMA, and then I go in and add the pages that I want to and build it out from there. I found that's a little bit easier when I help people do this to build it out from there rather than doing the seller presentation that's 54 pages and deleting like 30 of those pages. I'm just keeping the CMA stuff in there and then just adding on like probably like 9 or 10 pages in there. Because I don't talk a lot about the Coldwell Banker fluff. I talk about the stuff that's important with Coldwell Banker, but I'm not talking about how many agents we have worldwide and locally and stuff like that. I've been on listing appointments with agents that started doing that to sellers, and I will just see the seller's eyes just roll over and be like, what do I care about this stuff for? So I try to get it, and this is up to you, what you feel comfortable with, but what I do is I take out as much of the fluff stuff that I can, and I just want each page I turn to, I'm going to be trying to talking about it, and it means something. It's not just like something to talk about to fill a space. So, like I said, I do the default seller, add on pages from there. And then for the two, and I use that in the second part of my 2-step. If I'm going to do, and I use that as a 1-step as well, if I'm going to do it all the way through. For the 2-step, I'll use the 12-minute listing presentation and add on maybe 1 or 2 pages. And then I go in there, I show a little bit of data of the 5% calculator, which I showed earlier, as well as the MLS data of days on the market and list to sales price ratio. Do my whole, this is how we market properties, because I think they go hand in hand of we're able to sell houses faster and for a higher list of sales price ratio. And it's because of the marketing we do. So it goes hand in hand with that. So let's get into my 1-step. All right. Now, when you're doing this, I try to copy the MLS info on there. If it's been listed before, it puts everything in there. I don't think this one had, and I had to upload a picture into it. I went into like Google Street View and just uploaded a picture. I don't run the comps on Moxie through the search here. I don't recommend pulling your comps through here. Run it on the MLS and then go in here and you can see how I put all these different MLS numbers with a little comma next to it, and then you just add in the ones you want. So again, do it that way. If you just do it through Moxie, you're not going to get the right ones you want. And then estimate. When I do estimate, it will give you like a value, like an exact value. I never give that. I like to give it a range. So I adjust that. I give a low range and a high range of where I think they're going to sell. And then we get over to the pages. You can see this, the pages I have and how I use it. Now, this is just a template, like I said, that I have. when you guys do this template, I recommend putting all three of these in here: the launch, the Lux, and the reach. Now, once I have this all ready to go, I run the comps. I'm just going to remove which ones, the two that I don't want. So on this house, I was just going to do the launch and do a little bit more. If it's a little bit of a nicer listing, I might do the reach and have the, the silver envelopes and a brochure. And then if it's a very nice, like I'm talking like over 700,000 or so, then I'm going to be probably doing the Lux where you get a lot more marketing time on it. And you get more brochures, more of the just listed. You get the very nice video done on it. So depending on what it is, save your template like this. And then before you go and print everything out, just delete the ones you want. As you see at the bottom right here, as I add on or take stuff off, I can click here, save my template. I can call it whatever I want to, whatever the name is, and then save it. Okay. Any questions about that? Am I all good? Okay. All right. So let's get into my presentation. Well, let's just do the web one. So what's cool, so I recommend if you're going to do this, print out, have Clem or Susan print out your actual Moxie. I print my own and make my own. You can do that if you want to, if you're here on the weekend or afternoons. I can show you how to do it or have them show you how to do it. It's very easy. I don't use the fancy paper. I just use normal paper. It's up to you what you want to do there. But I like to take one there with me, but I also like to send this out. If you're on the web one, I could just copy this right here. I can text, email, Facebook Messenger, anywhere I want to send this, someone can click on that link. They can get to this presentation. So I like to use that as well as doing the paper. So I usually will go, I'll take that to them. And then after I'll say, hey, I'm going to send you this link over as well if you want to share this with anyone and show it to anybody. So starting through, we have their house. I'm going through here's information about me. And a lot of times I like to give them just a quick breakdown. A lot of you guys know me already, but I tell them I got into real estate 8 years ago in 2017. I was a police officer for 8 years, and then I sold for 3 years, managed for 4 years, and now I've gotten back into selling real estate. And but I still am able to help agents out in my agent development specialist role. Okay, all right, going down. So this step by step on the other ones show up higher. I like to have step in step first because this is the full picture of how I'm going to help you out as I start talking about Coldmaker stuff. So first we're going to talk about pricing. I'm going to run the comps on your house, review the market conditions, and just talk about what your goals are are you trying to get top dollar or do you want to sell a little bit quicker? We'll go over all that. All the way to marketing your home. I'm going to go over everything I'm going to do with marketing your property. And then once we start showing your houses and receiving offers, I'll help you negotiate the offers all the way through inspections. When things come up on repairs or credits from inspections and appraisal, I'm going to help you with negotiating those with the buyer. And then all the way to the closing table, I'm going to help you through the whole process, and you're going to get everything you'll sign at the end. You're going to get all the paperwork of everything you sign. Going down, I like to talk about next where the buyers are. Most buyers now are all finding their homes online. You'll see that it says that 88% of our real estate agent, those are all set up on searches, or they're on their mobile device tablet. They're on Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, a lot of those third-party sites. So it's very rare for people to be looking on the newspaper and finding a home. Everyone's looking online. Well, good thing we are the #1 brand online than all the other companies. And let me get into why that is. It is because the marketing that we do when we sell homes. So some of the things that I'm going to do for you when I sell your home is we have 4 different photographers that we could pick from. So I get professional photography that goes in there and takes the pictures. You'll get a website just for your home that you can send to your friends, post it on Facebook. I can send it out, and when you have this website, they can't search for any other homes. It's only a website just for your home. You'll get a virtual tour of your home. This virtual tour will also be put on YouTube and YouTube ads, where I can get leads of people interested in your home, and I can reach out to them and see if they want to go look at it. We also have targeted online advertising, which we call HomeSpotter Boost. What HomeSpotter Boost is for 7 days after I list your property, it will boost it for me and us on Facebook, Instagram, and on over 1,000 different websites. So we're on 1,000 websites. The next closest company with how many websites they're on is about 70, and that's Berkshire Hathaway. So we're on so many more places. The more places we are and people see us, the more people are going to be walking through your front door, the better offers we're going to get. Also, I'll get social media tiles that I can do, that I could put on when I put on Facebook, on my own Facebook, and I put it out to some of the different areas. There'll be a just listed e-flyer that I can blast out to everybody that's in my database. And also for 2 weeks, there's something that gets sent out. It's called the update. And it gets sent out to all 8,000 agents in the MLS for 2 weeks. They'll be sent your house showing that it's on the market. Also, we have the mobile brochure. This is a little sign writer that goes on top of your sign. It'll say 3562, text that to home now. And they'll get all the information on your property, but I'll also get their information and can reach out to them and see if they want to see your house. And then you get the seller update. You'll be able to see, as I do all this stuff, what all has been done to sell your property. That's the launch one. That's the one I use quite a bit. Lux, I haven't really used that one a ton. I've helped agents use that one, but Reach is the next one I'd use. And in Reach, you're talking a little bit more. You can say we have just listed postcards that go out that look like silver envelopes like this. If you guys need these, we have them at the office that you can get. Like the brochures just listed, just the smaller ones. But I'd like to show this. It looks like a wedding invitation or birthday invitation. It's really nice, really well made. And then as you open it up, it will have the information on your house, the address, pictures of your home, everything we did to market your home. And on the back, there's a little QR code that will go to your website, that single property website I was talking about. And also, when people are coming through your home, we do brochures like this, and we have different sizes. This is the biggest one, and we have ones that are a little bit smaller that fits into purses. But people that come to open houses or see your home, they can take this with them. After, I'll have the stack of these at their house. But these are really nice, help get your home sold. All right, as we're going through, like I mentioned, you'll have the YouTube advertising that is going to go up. YouTube is the second most visited website that people watch of everywhere. So you're going to be getting a lot of views of your home in a video slideshow of when people are on YouTube. Now let's talk about pricing. So the two things that matter the most about selling your house and getting people to walk through your front door is the marketing that we went over, and then the price of your home, of where we listed at. So if you list it as close to the current market value, if not even a touch below it, which I recommend, it's going to appeal to the most amount of buyers, and we're going to get the most amount of people walking in through your front door. As we go up, if you see we're just 5% over that market value, then it appeals to 50% of the buyer. As we keep going up, you see in this graph, at 50% over the market value, it's only going to appeal to 20% of buyers. So what a lot of sellers will do, and you'll see this especially for sale by owners and stuff like that, they want to look for that needle in the haystack buyer. So if I say your home is worth 200, they're thinking, maybe we're going to start up at like 220, 225 is someone that really is just going to love our house, and they're going to come in and put the best offer in. That rarely ever happens, if not never happens. And just people have so much more data now that they can see of what a house is most likely worth. So if you're up really high in that, you're not going to have a lot of people walking through your front door. And the first 2 weeks of being on the market are the most important time. You're going to get the most views online. Views online transfer over to people walking through the front door, which transfers over to offers. As people online are looking, they're saying, this is too much for what I think it's actually worth. I'm not willing to go through the front door. After those 2 weeks, then we're talking about doing price reductions to get people coming through your front door. If we really list too high and we keep on going on and have a couple price reductions, and in this market we get to like a month to 60 days and your place hasn't sold, people are going to start saying, what's wrong with it? Why aren't people buying this? And how low can I get it for? This is the last thing we want to do. So what I recommend doing is list it right at what it should sell, if not just a touch below it, to create that frenzy of getting as many people through here in the first weekend to get the best offers. So when we get the best offers, that doesn't just mean the best price. It also means the best terms for you. And I asked them if they have any questions about that. And then we get into, I like to have this one on there because there is the changes. How much do you want to offer a buyer agent to help sell your house, to bring a buyer to your house and represent them? And they're going to say, well, what's normal? Well, 2.5% to 3% is what I'm seeing most of the time, but you have the right to say, I don't want to give anything, or I want to give that 2.5 or 3%. And what I'll say is, what you want to do is to make it as easy as possible for a buyer to buy your property. If they already have to put down their down payment and pay for closing costs, and then on top of that, pay for the buyer agent's commission as well, it's going to make it very hard for a lot of buyers to buy your property, and you're going to lessen your buyer pool. By offering the compensation, you're going to have the greatest buyer pool that you can, and it'll be as easy as possible for people to put an offer on your property and make the best offer that they can at that time. And so I've yet to have anybody be like, no, I don't want to give anything like that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm getting most of them at 2.5 or 3% offering, but I'm still taking my listings at 3%. I show them, and the way I say that is, once we get into commission later on, I'm not going over by your paperwork. I know I'm kind of cutting ahead right now because the next thing we go into is comps, and I'm not just not going to go over comps. I do that with them there. Is once I go over to listed paperwork, I say I list homes for 3% to market and list your home with a $6.95 broker fee. What do you want to pay a buyer agent to bring a buyer and represent a buyer? And a lot of them don't know. Some of them will know. So that's how I word it, and it has worked well for me so far. And sometimes they'll have a little bit more questions, and just answer the questions from there. But I'm not getting a lot of pushback from people of like, oh no, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to offer anything. Okay, so like I said, I get into the comps. I like to have a high range. If I know what the house is going to look like, a little bit on the one step, get a general idea of how updated it is. I like to get one or two that are way nicer than that. And then I like to get a couple of homes that are worse than that on the lower end, and then try to find something as similar as possible. Also in my comps, I like to try to find a comp that they listed too high, and then they did a bunch of price reductions, and then it sold for much lower. And I really like to point that out. I'll actually print out the MLS listing when I can find that and show them the history on that of, this is what we don't want to do, is list too high, look for that needle in the haystack buyer. We have price reductions. People start saying, what's wrong with it? And then you end up getting a lot less. And ideally, if you can find one that listed below what it sells for, created the multiple offer frenzy and they got higher, show them that as well. This is what we want to do, where you get the best offer possible, the best terms. This is not what we want to do. So, and then I like to go over the data of me selling properties. So here's data of when I went against Berkshire Hathaway. This is, I did 150,000 at 350,000 and 15237 is where this house was. We were just under, should I say 3 days on the market. It was pretty close there, but we did have about a 2% difference in listed sales price ratio. Now I can look at each one of yours listed sales price ratio and see if it's different. I pulled mine up. The managers have this little program called iProspect. You can see here I am. And it will show right here, list to sales price ratio, 102.34. So then I could take that and where is my Excel? Bear with me here. Where did it go? I had to take it down because I had to send it out in an attachment. Tools, 5% calculator. The data should still be on there because I just had it up there. Okay, so I'll show them if we sold your house as the data, what I came up with, it should sell at around 280,000 list price. Show the data of Berkshire, who I was going against. They're at 94.7%. My listed sales price ratio is 103.4. If they do a less commission at 5% and I do 6% with a 695, this is how much more money I put in the seller's pocket. It's a giant difference. Use the data, it works best. If you're newer, you're going to have to use the office data or Coldwell Banker data. But if you have a few listings, like 3-4 listings over the last year, and you got a great list to sales price ratio, let's use that data. Come to me beforehand, before you get a listing. I can look, that's an easier one to look up. Take me just a couple minutes. I could pull that off, and then we can use that for your list of sales price ratio. Any questions about that? For my listing presentation, sorry, go ahead. I know if someone is starting to talk or not. Any questions of how I do mine? Like, again, it's kind of short and sweet, if you will. I take out a lot of the fluff. I just talk about what I really want to talk about. Is there anybody on here that goes over anything else or talks about anything more? Matt, do you do anything more than that? Extra or anything different? Nope. Okay.
Hey, sorry, I'm cleaning and listening.
No worries. I kind of figured. But yeah, was there anything else that you do differently on your presentations?
So the one thing I do, depending on the last time they sold the house, if it was within the last 10 years, I always pull up the stats off the MLS, the average sale price. And that's my go-to, especially like if it's sold within the last 5 years and they haven't done any major remodeling.
Yep.
It's normally pretty close. And then you can also kind of toy with those numbers depending on whether it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and kind of adjust them to your advantage.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that always really helps me with the comps and already gives me an idea of what I can anticipate. And
Sure.
I think it's always good too to try to get a feel if you can get out of them what they think the house is worth.
Yeah.
And so what I've also been doing recently too is sending them just the comps that I pull up ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So they can kind of review them and then I can ask them what they think before I even say anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And then as far as the fluff, I agree 100%, but I still print out almost the full Moxie and I just leave that for them. I don't even open it up. I just tell them there's a lot of good information in there and
Yeah.
they can take their time and look through there. And I literally say, this is the fluff of my presentation. So you can take a look at it if you want to, but there's good information in there. But I call this my fluff, and I don't even open it up, but I do leave it for them.
I gotcha. And I've heard that from other people. It depends who it is. If I have close friends and stuff like that, like I'll leave it there. I usually don't even open it up. They trust me. But if it's people, if it's competitive, or I don't really know the people and I'm like, okay, I really need to try hard to get this, like I'll go up, I'll do the whole listing presentation in front of them. Just try to put my best foot forward. But so something else I do too is I'll print out, I'll go to RPR, I'll print out the report there. I use Real Scout and I'll pull like Zillow and like called a Thomas value. And then I'll pull Realist Tax that will show like their estimated value on there to kind of show them like, hey, here's the 3 different values where you're going off with the comps. So they like, because they're going to probably be looking at this. They're probably looked on Zillow where theirs are. So I'll go and I'll pull all those out and I'll leave that there with them so they can see like, hey, here's the difference. And because someone will say, hey, you could sell your house for 200, and then very next Zestimate or whatever online is like, hey, you could sell your house for 300. So you can't, like I tell them, you can't always go off from this. Like, let's dial it down and look at the comps of what they sold, how long they've been on the market, and then figure out where's the best place to market your property and get the most amount of people in your door. And I also go over when's the best day to list it. Usually Wednesdays or Thursdays are your best day to list than doing open house over the weekend. If you do want to list it earlier on like a Tuesday, I recommend we do like a twilight on Thursday and then doing another open house over the weekend. And if it's a nice house that you are expecting, like, okay, we are under market value. This is a beautiful house. It's gonna explode. I've been putting in agent remarks and asking them first, if this is something I recommend if they're okay with it. Seller will not review any offers until X date. So like you list it on Wednesday, seller will not review any offers until Sunday. And then it's stopping that first come, first serve. Hey, we're putting an offer in. Like, no, we already told you, seller isn't reviewing any. We're gonna allow people to get in there and look at the home. So I do like doing that. It's worked the last couple times. I've seen a couple agents get upset about it. But we want to give people a chance and not just be first come, first serve. Like we want to get the most people in the door to get the seller the best offer they can get. Okay, so let's get over to our two-stepper. Really, I mean, I don't know if I need to go over the whole thing, but I'll show you guys what I do. So I will still come in with that and fill that all out on the two-step at the end with all that information. But I think it was this one, which is the 12-minute listing presentation. Pretty sure. Nope. Not one. But this one. No, it is not that one. It was the one I was on. Sorry about that. All right, so in the two-step, I still have some of those things. I'm going over similar to my agent profile. It's the first time I'm there, helping them out step by step, marketing your home. All these things are on that 12-minute listing presentation. Then go over, it has all this, but then I go into detail. I get professional photography on your home. Where the buyers are, number one, brand online, why that's important, online exposure of, how many different websites we're on. You get a website just for your home. You get a virtual property tour that you can send out. It also goes on to YouTube advertising. Talk about targeted online advertising that, that's HomeSpotter Boost, goes out to 1,000 websites that I get leads from. And I can reach out to those people, see if they're interested. Email marketing. I can send that out to my entire database of, hey, this home is just listed, and see if any of them are interested. Area realtor notification. That is the update. All agents in the MLS, all 8,000 agents in the MLS will get this for 2 weeks. They'll be seeing your house. They get this email from Coldwell Banker. You'll get a mobile brochure. And if you want to, this whole mobile brochure, you could take with you the dot signal. That's that app on desk. You could print off just the demo, and they can do it, and you can show it right in front of them. I don't always do that. You could do it if you want to, but something you could talk about then again. And then I talk about, we also have property brochures, and we'll do just listing, just sold postcards. And then it has just a closing page on it. So I'll just do that 12-minute listing presentation, go through the house, and let me get off from this. Now, I've listened to a lot of different books and podcasts and John Perry of how you do a listing presentation. I go down first, I sit at the dining room table, I kind of tell them what to expect and go over my stuff, and then we go through, we look at the house, and then come back and then sit at the dining room table again. Like, I do it kind of different every time. Like, I feel like people, a lot of times, they want to show me the house. We walk through the house first. We go through everything. I kind of get to know them and talk. And I feel like that to me, that's more comfortable. Because as I'm going through, I'm talking about them, seeing what their style is, and just getting to know them. And, oh, we did this back then, and seeing their kids' room, and try to point stuff out, and just kind of, you can get a good feel of who the people are if you don't know them, walking through the house and the stuff in their house, rather than just sitting down at the dining room table. I feel like that's just a little bit colder to me. So that's why I like walking through first, then sitting at the dining room table second. But I sat down on the dining room table first, and then going after. I kind of like to open up to them of what they would like to do and what they're comfortable with. So don't feel like you have to do what you're told by a book or a podcast. Do what you feel comfortable with at the time and there. So that's the 2-step 12-minute listing presentation. We'll go over a little bit of the data that I'll show them of the list sales price ratio and the 5% calculator. And then when I come back, I have the full listing presentation with all the comps in it, talk about pricing. And then that's when I take my listing contract, all the paperwork, and I try to, get that done and signed. But in the one step, if you can, and you know the people and you feel more comfortable with it, then you can go that route and just you got the comps, you go over everything. I think it's priced around here. It's just hard to do that in all of them. If it's not a cookie cutter, if it's a unique house, it's going to be a lot harder to do that. So that is how I do mine. I know it's not maybe how everybody does theirs, but it has worked for me so far, and I feel comfortable with it. What I will say to feel comfortable with it, get a Moxie, get a friend. I know like the whole role playing sounds crazy. You don't have to role play with someone. Just print it off and just start reading it to yourself of what you would say to someone. The more you do that, the better you're going to get. And just print off, go through the different pages. Did I stop? Let me share real quick, and I'll show you guys. Up in here, you got add page. Now you can create you can upload PDFs on here. Usually I will upload a seller net sheet after for them so they know, and I'll put it into this, how much they'll net off from it. Or if any other PDFs you want to put in here, you can. Or add from library. You'll see the different report pages here. That's everything that's in the CMA. If you go to Coldwell Banker parent company, just go through these and look through some of these pages, take some time and see if there's anything that interests you that you're like, maybe I want to talk about that. There are a couple in here that I didn't put in, like depending on the house. Sometimes I like to put in real vitalize. I'll put that in if I know it's going to be a house that needs some work and they might not have money for it. I'll talk about that. HS home warranty. There's one for that. I could put that in and talk about it. That's also going to be in my listing paperwork as well. So I will be talking about it no matter what. But go through here. You might want to add in some more of the fluff or just things that you like, how it flows better for you. But this is just how I like to do mine and how it flows well for me. So, but yeah, that is all I have. Any questions I can answer from anybody? You mean price and terms? So Victoria's here in office. She asked about, it's not always, you get multiple offers. It's not always about just the price. It's about terms as well. So let's say you get one offer in, you're listed for 200,000. You get an offer and it's like $200,000 cash. They have no contingency there. They do inspections, but they say we'll cover up to $5,000 in any individual repair, and we're going to buy a home warranty and add on seller coverage. Your next offer might be we're 210 with a FHA loan. We're asking for inspections, and we got lower hand money, and we aren't saying anything about we'll cover anything on the inspections or anything like that at all. Like just because it's 210, it might be higher. It might look like okay, just the purchase price, but overall the terms, one it's $10,000 less might be the better one to go with because there's less contingencies in it. So that's where I say if you could get the best price and the best terms, that's great. But if you list too high, a lot of times you're just dealing one offer. You might not get the best price and you might not get the best terms as well. But if you're listing lower, market price, if not lower, that causes that frenzy to get more multiple offers, then a lot of times you are dealing with getting the best price, but also you could be able to pick from the best terms as well. That's a whole nother class. She asked, how do you hand multiple offers? I was like, yeah, that's a whole other class, but, all right. Any questions from everything I went over? Are we all good?
I just want to add that it's important to know the municipal requirements before the appointment.
Yeah, that's great. And if you don't know where if you go to keystoneclosing.com and go to, I think it's municipal guidelines, and you put in the area, it will say like who to call and the amount is and stuff like that. So yeah, you could tell them up front what to expect. Because some areas you don't need occupancy or a dye test. But there's some areas that you need occupancy and dye test, and there's even more areas that say the seller is required to do a camera sewer line inspection as well. I think Upper St. Clair might be one of those now, or else it's Peters. It's one of those down there that there's a couple areas now that are saying, no, the seller needs to do a camera sewer line inspection as well to sell their home. It has to be done. So, but yeah, great point, Matt. Alrighty. Well, thank you all very much for jumping on, and let me know if you need anything. We'll talk to y'all later. See ya. Yep.
Cool. Thank you. That was great.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for jumping on.
All right. Later.